And welcome once again to another episode of the Horizon Roundtable. Hope everybody's been having a good summer. I'm Bob McDonald. I am on Twitter at Bob McDonald, and with me, of course, my co-host Jimmy Lemke.
Good morning, everyone. Well, or whenever you're listening to this.
Jimmy, of course, is at PantherU on Twitter, and as always, be sure to follow the Horizon Roundtable on Twitter at HorizonRT. Jimmy, before we get started, first thing we want to do is send some well wishes to Brian Black. He was on our last episode. 353 Jersey for Hope. He had his surgery on the 14th, and looks like he's on his road to recovery. So we're happy that everything seemed to work out for you on the surgery front. We look forward to hearing from you some more in the regular season.
I would like to, just double up on that and say, we're really happy that it seems like everything's going to be okay with you. I hope you continue to get better and manage yourself.
Yeah.
Be all good, buddy.
Absolutely. And, by the way, Wright State, IUPUI, get your jerseys over them so the Horizon League's all taken care of. Very important.
Seriously. Come on, people.
So we're in the middle of the summer, but looks like by and large, the Horizon League teams have finally have for the most part gotten their non-conference schedules out, with the lone exception of Cleveland State. I'm not really that surprised that they're the last ones out of the gate, especially given the fact that they probably spent most of their time getting ready for their overseas trip. That said, I guess my question kind of goes beyond the non-conference scheduling, because you see a lot of the other conferences have put out their actual schedules, full schedules, and I'm kind of curious as to why is it that the Horizon League always seems to come in last. And I'd like to point out: is it because of the final? Is it because of the conference tournament being at Little Caesars Arena? Is that what the problem is, or is it just?
No.
Yeah, so what would it? I don't really understand it. It's not like any of these teams share a facility with I don't know. Cleveland State doesn't share a facility with anybody else, and neither does. I don't know what the situation is with Milwaukee, if that is the case, I've never understood that.
That is part of it. That's part of it. The Horizon League is filled with teams that are not. We look at the Wolstein Center as an on-campus arena, essentially.
Yes.
The Northern Kentucky has the BB&T Arena as an on-campus arena.
Yep.
We're not the only schools in the conference, right?
Well, it's true. But is it because and don't take this the wrong way, but is it because we have that lone oddball of Milwaukee that whose arena isn't necessarily considered on campus? Because everybody else is considered on campus, or actually on campus.
Well, Green Bay's isn't. Green Bay is not.
So you're just saying it's all of Wisconsin now, okay?
And IUPUI's is not on campus.
Oh God!
Well, the jungle was, but it's not anymore.
Yeah, that's right. They're at Farmers and Farmers Bureau Insurance, whatever the hell that's called. Which isn't that on a fairgrounds or something like that?
Yeah, it's on the Indiana State Fairgrounds.
You should know all this information. I know none of it. I'm a slug when it comes to that sort of.
And it's okay. And Green Bay it will be spending some of their season playing with what's their faces. They'll be playing with I'm just totally forgetting it. At the Crest Center. Crest Center.
The Crest Center, yes.
Yeah.
So
they're going to play some there, but they share the Rush Center with the Green Bay Gamblers.
The Green Bay and the Green Bay Gamblers, are they a hockey team?
Yeah, it's a hockey team.
Yeah, okay. Wasn't sure. I wasn't sure about that one. So that
the Indiana Fairgrounds, the Farmers Coliseum
also has a hockey team. I know that.
Also has a hockey team. They also have a local roller derby.
Well, you can't preempt the roller derby.
Well, each of them has contracts with the facilities, and like for us here in Milwaukee, we have our building, but like the Milwaukee Admirals in the AHL, they're back in the arena. The Milwaukee Wave, the indoor soccer league, that
actually makes me a little jealous, because Cleveland used to have a super awesome indoor soccer team, of which they used to play the Cleveland Crunch, and then Cleveland Forest, Cleveland Crunch. Anybody from Cleveland who's listening to this, you know the long legend of the story of Cleveland's indoor soccer. They actually used to fill the Wolstein Center. Now this was, mind you, this is 20 years ago, but it was kind of a place to be, and I'm actually and again I'm a little put out by the fact we don't have a indoor soccer team anymore. But I digress.
Well, it is true. Like, I mean, I know well and good that you guys used to have a team because the Wave used to play you guys.
Yes.
We've always had there's always been at least one or two Panthers on the Wave, so there's always been a little bit of interest from our people. The Wave, like them, have they used to pack the arena. They don't anymore, but they still have a contract. Now Milwaukee is the primary. Milwaukee is the primary tenant in the building.
Yeah.
So Milwaukee does get first run at everything, but that doesn't mean that we just can pick everything. Like, they have to be able to, and they have to work with the Admirals. They have to work with the Wave. They have to work with our own local roller derby that does come here. Like,
Milwaukee must have a super awesome roller derby, because Cleveland has a roller derby league, and actually does. At one point in time was in the Wolstein Center, and it does not sound like it's anywhere near as a point of interest to the fact that they have a contract, a regularly scheduled contract that Milwaukee does. I'm kind of interested in hearing about your roller derby team. That sounds really awesome.
Yeah. I've never been to one of the events, because I know they'll do a whole several hours, and there'll be a bunch of teams that come play.
Okay.
It's always they all have super funny names. Like, they call the Bruce City Bruisers, and it's the I want to say it's Women's Flat Track Derby Association, if I remember. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Or Flat Track Derby League. I think it's association. But they all have really, really funny. They all have really funny names. There'll be some kid and some girl out there who's bitch Cassidy or something.
No.
It's always kind of
sure.
funny.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah, because that's roller derby is kind of rough and tumble, and I mean, it's one of those interest things, and I'm sure that it sounds very popular in Milwaukee, and maybe popular in other parts of the country. So that, I guess that makes sense to me, at least. So I guess and so but what's interesting with those though is that like for example, all the AHL teams. I thought for sure that they would have gotten all all of those teams would have got their regular season schedules out by now. I mean, they got the AHL teams. They got to start selling. They start selling tickets from like starting in June. So it's like
I don't want you to think that I don't want to get into another Amanda Braun bashing thing, but the Admirals do. I have heard complaint directly from people that UWM is really slow to getting the Admirals the available dates that they have.
Well, that's interesting. I just find that kind of strange because I know IUPUI got out their home non-conference schedule like a while ago. So
professional sports leagues will like work with all the teams. So like the Admirals will have, they'll have somebody who will tell them, okay, this is, here's your schedule. Mm-hmm. College basketball teams don't have that, but that
sure.
luxury. They have to be the ones to build their schedule.
Yeah.
But it's not like Milwaukee picks 30 dates.
No.
Milwaukee has a few spots, and they have to work with each and every non-conference school,
mm-hmm.
and then the conference picks out theirs.
Yeah, which the conference apparently hasn't done yet. So,
I'm pretty sure the conference
that's kind of the crux of my issue is that you have you're going to get 18 games out of the conference. You're going to get 9 home games out of the conference for each team. Okay, that's kind of baked in the cake. So, notwithstanding, roller derby and the AHL, who again,
and we're not the only roller derby. The only team that hosts roller derby. I mean,
I'm sure, right?
But UIC Pavilion hosts roller derby.
But I'm also sure that they don't take up they don't. How much of the schedule could they possibly take up? Well, and now, mind you, of course, there's also some other things. There's also some other moving parts too. Because a bunch of these places also host concerts and everything. Wolfson Center absolutely does that. But to me, it comes down to the simple. The question of, with all of these things and taking all of these things into consideration, it seems like we're having this. It seems to be having this conversation every year that the conference itself seems to want to, take their time to get all of it, and then once the schedule comes out, then we're thinking, then they're putting games on funky days that may not necessarily be an issue with because with the teams, but it just seems like it takes so much time for them to get the schedule together that we're not even. We're at the end of August right now, and the regular season, basketball season is a little more than 2 months away, and we still have no idea when the conference is going to start playing, and who's going to be playing for that matter. And for me, and this kind of comes, scheduling conflicts aside, it really the unknown is, and maybe it's I think that does have to me at least, I think has a negative effect on season ticket sales, because you got schools who are trying to sell their season tickets, but they don't know when these games are being played, and they're trying to sell these tickets in June and July, starting in that point in time, and it still seems to be I don't think it's terribly. I'm sure I'm sure the league has a very valid explanation for this. I'm just thinking logistically from a school standpoint. If you're trying to sell season tickets and you don't know when anybody's playing, on the conference side, that I'm sure that gets frustrating.
I agree.
And I think it's one of those things where it's like, and as far as we know, at this moment in time, as far as we know, Motor City Madness is still happening. Unless, I would have thought if there's something seismic would have changed out of that, we would have heard about it by now. I think the only thing we know about that, Motor City Madness is in fact still happening, so we know that's happening. When it's happening is a whole other question, but that's on the conference. I'm sure they'll have some fancy schmancy press release come out or something like that, I'm sure. But still, it's that unknown between January and up to that point. That's kind of it can't be easy. I mean, scheduling the non-conference is hard enough, as mid-major fans well know. I mean, but that's the unknown. We get the unknown. It's the known that never seems to ever happen on a very quick basis.
Yeah.
That doesn't. It's a huge issue, and I'm beginning to wonder also too. And this actually brings me up to something else I wanted to talk about. It appears that ESPN and the Horizon League still have a very strong relationship. And apparently they're moving, ESPN has decided to move a lot of the fall sports broadcasts over to the ESPN Plus platform, which, as we know, is an extra $5 a month for everybody, even if you have ESPN. And it seems to me it's only a matter of time before the other shoe drops, and we're going to get this basketball schedule out. We're going to see a bunch of stuff on ESPN Plus. And
I mean, yeah, you would think that ESPN Plus is tailor made for something like Horizon League.
Well, which would be great, except well,
no, it sucks.
No, who the hell wants to pay $5 a month for no offense to any of the other teams, but who the hell wants to pay $5 a month for that? And you're cutting the conference is cutting its nose off to spite its face, because there are so many different sports that benefited from the ESPN3 arrangement, where somebody who had an ESPN subscription could go on ESPN3 and they could watch the soccer championships or the volleyball championships, or one of those critical regular season games. Not many people, but still, enough people to get to be interested in it. Now you've decided, okay, we're just gonna slap that behind ESPN Plus, $5 a month. Oh, and here's some 30 for 30 things, so you can shut up about it. I don't know. But it's one of those things that just drives me crazy. It's like, okay, so we've gotten to the point where the Horizon League has gotten from a standalone platform to this lame-ass partnership with ESPN to an even lamer-ass arrangement where we got to pay $5 a month for it. This is the evolution of what happened, and I'm a little befuddled by it, truthfully. I mean, you had the great idea of having your own standalone network, and then you decided to take that money and partner with ESPN. Because that I don't know.
I'm sure, like anything with the Horizon League, I'm sure there was a cost they were trying to avoid.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is the Horizon League. We have plenty. From I find that I'm sure it is, but I'm also at the same time, when John LaCroix is making statements of we have plenty of money last year, I'm like, okay, well, great. A lot of good that does us when I'm paying $5 a month next coming up in the fall. Like, okay, whatever.
I'm sure part of the reason that they have some money is that maybe they get something out of ESPN. Maybe
ESPN
ESPN doesn't pay for the contract, but maybe ESPN pays for something like, maybe ESPN pays for their, pays for the cost of doing some of these things. And that's all. It's the only thing I can really think of.
Well, they sure as hell ain't paying. Really sure as hell ain't gonna be. Don't have a bunch of advertisements unless you consider the Addiction Network commercial being played 15 times during a game. Considerable revenue.
I consider it important. I consider it important to play that stuff. You never know who's dealing with what.
Well, they're not. Yeah. Yeah, except for there's a whole of this. I think there was one of the news magazines did a story on those types of commercials where they're not necessarily helping anybody. They're just trying to point people to whatever rehab centers. I don't know. It's a weird convoluted.
So it's like a for-profit thing.
Oh, it absolutely is. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's not a PSA though. That's a how they used to have how they have those 1-800 education direct commercials and stuff where they you call them and then they'll refer you to one of these for-profit schools. Same concept here, except now that I'm explaining it sounds far creepier. Yeah, same concept. Which is I don't know how those whole things work. All I know is they're paying for the advertising, and between that and whatever crappy movie that nobody wants to see. I'm still incidentally, I know I'm still trying to get the image of that one really it was a few years back, one really crappy movie, John Carter. It was on that stupid ad was on every single second of the Horizon League Championships. I can't remember what year it was, but it was so horrible. I'm like, dude, find somebody else to advertise. What the hell is wrong with you? I understand it's just the Horizon League, but nobody went to go see that movie. So,
yeah.
So, I mean, the other thing too, and then even with, and they really need just to stop screwing around and say, hey, we're gonna have the games on ESPN Plus. I mean, we know that they pretty much have telegraphed what their intentions are with this platform. I mean, stop screwing around and tell us what it's about. But of course, that also probably ties into the fact they don't have their conference schedule out either. So there is that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're finding the final touches. I mean, I'm sure they will put it out as soon as they get a chance. Maybe there's one team that they have to track down that contract. Maybe there's, I mean, I've seen it at UWM where they've tried to get somebody to, somebody has agreed to a day and a game, and then it comes to signing something, and you can't get them to fax over the contract signed.
Well, see that's and the other then the only team that would as far as non-conference is concerned, the only team that leaves is Cleveland State, and good luck getting a hold of them because they're somewhere in Rome right now. So exactly. Yeah. So I mean. And by the way, I would be remiss not to mention the fact that at least one of my favorite SIDs, Greg Murphy, has actually left Cleveland State. He's going to work.
No way.
I know. Yeah, I know. He actually he's going to be working. He's going to be working in one of the local school districts from now on. So yeah, I know. I can't wait for my lifetime ban at Cleveland State to begin, because Greg was the only one who really liked me. So,
well, I'm sure that even he was just faking it.
I'm sure he was, but he did a really good job at it, though. That's the mark of a true SID. Where if you can't even if you can't stand the guy, you can at least put up an outstanding front, and Greg certainly did that. So I personally wish him the best of luck, and gonna miss him.
Well, that's awfully sweet of you.
Well, come on, look how much crap he had to put up with me, man. Come on, and of course, as we all know, he was very instrumental in getting arranging the interview that we had on the previous episode with Coach Dennis Felton. So, I mean, You can't beat that. I mean, it's it's one of those things where you're sad to see a guy go, and hopefully
But you love to watch him leave.
Okay. I can probably wouldn't apply in this case. Other cases, yes, sir. But good luck to you, Greg. We'll miss you around here, and hopefully whoever comes in to take your place will do just as great a job as you did.
I wish John Durda, the new SID, the best of luck.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, good luck with that. I don't think he'd want to take a pay cut. I think he's like a software developer. So no, I don't think he'd want to take the pay cut.
Oh, Captain Cool Guy, software developer.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's Well, it's definitely not going to be me. So
I mean, would you put in for that?
Oh my God! You could maybe just to make everybody in athletics laugh. Like, wait, isn't that the? Yes, it's that same guy. Like, oh man, I don't want to deal with him. I've had to put up with him enough. No, I've had a weird. Admittedly, I've had a weird relationship with Cleveland State over the years. I don't know. Probably because I'm an asshole. I don't know what to tell you. Well, we all have to be good at something. So we all have to be good at something, and me as being a putz, I know. Right. Been doing it for years, and probably not going to slow down anytime soon.
You've been putzing for years?
Been putzing for years. It's been long, proud history of putzing. So, speaking of putzing, oh
boy.
Oh no, this has nothing to do with either of us. This does, however, have to do with one of our friends of the show, Valhalla Vanguard, who, as I understand it, will be firing up their podcast again. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. So this was probably about a week or two ago. For whatever reason, those of you who are familiar with Barstool Sports, you'll know that their Twitter kind of network includes a bunch of different colleges. Milwaukee has one, of course. I think UIC has a Barstool enclave. So does Wright State, Northern Kentucky, and Youngstown State. I can't remember. I know Cleveland State doesn't have one. I know that I'm pretty sure IUPUI doesn't have one. I don't know about Detroit or Oakland. I don't think they do. And I don't think Green Bay has one either. But for whatever reason, and I can't remember the circumstances behind it, but the Northern Kentucky Barstool Enclave got into it with the Valhalla Vanguard guys. And the Vanguard guys proceeded to wipe them off the planet. I thought that was pretty interesting. There seemed to be a lot of groundswell of support for the Vanguard as opposed to Barstool. I'm not really that familiar with Barstool to know what kind of level of jackass they are.
They're very high level jackass.
Okay.
The whole website is a group of putzes.
There you go. I might fit in then. There you go. Well, probably not. No, I'm not.
The most stand-up guy in the entire operation connected to Barstool Sports is Mike Rappaport, the actor.
Oh Jesus, not that guy. Okay, yeah, it's not good. Yeah. No, wait. Didn't he just get fired off of there, and then him and the head Portnoy, didn't they get into it too? Yeah.
Maybe.
My Rappaport hasn't endeared himself to the city of Cleveland, so yeah. If he represented the best of them, then yeah, that's kind of a problem. I mean, I don't. I mean, and my only knowledge of them is they make me laugh occasionally, and I say occasionally, like maybe once or twice every 6 months. Other than that, I mean, they don't entertain me anywhere near enough to ever want to ever try to defend them in any circumstances. So that's
they kind of suck.
Well, like, I mean, seriously. I mean, if your directive at a local level is to go after one of the one of these student groups like a Valhalla Vanguard, I mean, is that really kind of the way? Is that the hill you want to die on?
You got to know that the NKUs, every Barstool sport is run by students.
Yeah. Well, yes, of course they are.
The NKU one, I'm sure, is run by a couple students.
Probably sitting in their basement, it's like, oh, I'm going to get these guys. Yeah, and then they got crushed. I thought that was funny. So, yeah, but it's weird because, and again, this makes me even less sad that Cleveland State doesn't have one. So, Cleveland State has their own problems on that front. But
Cleveland State has a lot of, problems of trying to get past being, a community college as far as how campus is and how people are. That's... Cleveland State's got some issues.
Well, yeah, they really need to get past it because of somebody has their head up their ass up there. I don't know what. If
you don't have a traditional campus setting, it's hard to get people to care deeply about what you are, what your program.
That's the thing, though, and I should say that within the last 10, 15 years, Cleveland State has done that. They have way more dorms now. They have way more, they have way more on campus. They have way more housing that's in proximity to campus. You probably have a good within the campus. Used to have maybe 500 students living on campus. Now you have up to 2,000. Which is infinitely better, and those 2,000 kids don't care apparently. So I don't know what to tell you on that one. And apparently none of them want to start a Barstool enclave. So again, not sad about that, but
I'm sure. Yeah, every sport.
Though it would seem like that would be a thing that seems like something. That seems like something that Cleveland State heavy.
Is there a heavy drinking group on? Is that on campus? Is that a big thing?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Probably not.
I'm gonna say no. Probably. I don't know. That would be my guess. I don't know. You got me.
I'd say that if you don't know, then it's probably
not. It's probably not. I mean, I don't remember. Yeah, there isn't really. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, thank you. That makes me feel so much better about my boring alma mater.
Like you asked, man.
I know. I asked. But yeah. So, but it's weird. Yeah, and it's not even like But back to the flappers.
Stuff's somewhat important.
I guess.
As dumb as it seems, you need to have a traditional campus in some respect. And in urban universities, it's very difficult to have that without being a 150-year-old private school. So you have to do what you can to make it fun and work. But the biggest problem is that we cannot lift all ships in the Horizon League because you have to be able to win, because that's what matters to these people. Students, alumni, they don't, if they don't have decades of tradition and they haven't gotten if they haven't gotten the connection that like you and I have.
Yeah.
From being part of their campus and part of everything there, tradition stuff, then they will stop caring at worst possible times. When the team starts losing, they will stop caring.
Yep. This is true. But it's interesting you mentioned the whole community aspect because and maybe I'm not familiar enough with, I don't know. Cleveland State has its own problems. I don't want to talk about it anymore. That's kind of indicative of all of the Horizon, a lot of the Horizon League at least, because as we talk about Cleveland State's issues,
I'll say this, it's not totally. It's real hard to just like say like, oh yeah, this is why, but it's not hard to see that Wright State is one that really gets it. Because Wright State is also in an area where they don't really have to deal with having to fight another group.
No, they don't.
There is no NBA or Major League Baseball team in the city. There's no NHL team. The closest thing they have to a true, is going an hour and a half to Cincinnati or a couple hours to Columbus. That's big deal.
You're absolutely right. And Wright State is one of those. And Wright State has consistently been one of the biggest. Had the best attendance numbers in the Horizon League for many, many years, and that hasn't really changed. I mean, if they're not at the top, they're near the top.
They don't have competition.
No.
They don't have competition. People want an NHL team if the Bucks left, and I would have been like, just let the Admirals be it, and let Marquette be it, and let the Brewers be it, and let's just part of it's because I want UWM to succeed. And it's real hard to succeed when you're the number 3 basketball choice in town, and that's the truth about most of us.
And that's the other thing, they don't really. Wright State does. I mean, Wright State probably does have to contend with Dayton, but not as much as you would. Not as much as say Milwaukee has to with.
Cleveland State can benefit if Cleveland State were to put together a winning program.
Yeah.
If you can get people around the team through winning,
yeah,
and then win for a long time,
yeah,
you can from there grow the program.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many people are not convinced of that. By the way, and that's especially true in the post-LeBron Cleveland, I'll tell you that much.
And that's why I think you have something of a chance to change minds and stuff, is that, you do have LeBron. LeBron is gone.
Yep.
So.
Well, and this is interesting you mentioned that, because even in the during the first post-LeBron era, between 2010 to 2014, and you had a Cleveland State program that was consistent 20-game winner, always competing for a championship at least 3 out of those 4 years, and yet somehow I don't want to say the enthusiasm, but somehow the interest wasn't there. It didn't seem like it was there, even during the first post-LeBron era, which included, I might add, a strike abbreviated season for the NBA, in which they didn't even start playing until the middle of February. of that year or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it was kind of a time frame. And that Cleveland State couldn't take advantage then makes me a little skeptical that they'd be able to take advantage now. I'm a little concerned about that part. I'm not sure how that can get fixed, and it also makes me sound. It also makes me kind of sound like It also kind of makes me sound like I don't know, not cynical, but I gotta ask. I mean, why? And I see what you're saying is they have the potential to do that, but I've also seen prior experience where they didn't. And what has changed between then and now? And the answer is not really that much. I mean, in terms of the internal structure, or unless I'm completely wrong, I could be wrong, which would be super nice.
You want more kids living on campus.
Yes.
You want more, even though it's an urban campus, you want to have more traditional.
And I should point out the fact that there are, and I actually should point out there are more students living on campus now than there were during the first post-LeBron era. I will say that.
And you want to have more traditional stuff. You want to have a vibrant Greek life, but you don't. It's not that you don't want to just have fraternities. You want your program, you want your students to actually have a traditional college experience that you would see on that you would see in the movies, that's the traditional college experience that a lot of kids look for, and you don't really get that at a lot of urban universities, specifically ours, because everything's so. Everything's got to fit everything's got to be open for everybody. Everything has to be.
Yeah. I mean, but at the same time,
which is okay, and I'm not saying you close things off to people, but
at the same time, when you have that many, I wouldn't even. If it was a fact, I mean. And I'm sure, in Milwaukee, I'm sure you have the same problem, and probably even more because you have quite a few more students than most of the other schools in the Horizon League. I think Milwaukee is the biggest school, but when
not
you look
anymore.
Okay.
IUPUI.
IUPUI put, the problem with IUPUI is,
same thing with us, and same thing with you guys, and same thing with every school. And Wright State has these problems too. Wright State just doesn't. They're just not as pronounced.
No, of course not.
You have to make it so that you have a traditional when Butler Butler survived. They wouldn't have been like that if Butler were IUPUI, just named Butler.
Yeah.
They did what they did because they had generations of people who had been a part of that program for a very long time that bought into Barry Collier's Butler way. And from there, the whole, everybody started pitching in. Everybody did what they could do to help raise money for the program and to help bring their, you get fans that would raise Butler fans. It doesn't happen overnight.
No.
But the Butler wouldn't be Butler today if they didn't have the basketball success under Brad Stevens.
No.
But the groundwork for Brad Stevens' Butler program was laid by, Todd Licklider and Thad Matta and Barry Collier.
Yeah, of course.
So it takes time and winning, but you also, in conjunction, you have to have people have to feel connected to the program and campus. And that's the downside for Milwaukee or Green Bay playing off of campus, is that you don't have that natural pull where thousands of people are all hanging out together, and then they're all congregating around this place, and then boom, now there's a game. And you have a few thousand people inside a building together, and then after the game, they all just number of different bars because there's most people will go home, but some people will say, oh, hey, there's let's go to this place, because they have that because we don't have that because we're off campus. So alumni don't feel the need to be on campus longer. But after games, Major Goolsby's is a great deal. I just think if Panther Arena were on campus, we would probably do a better job of having a pregame, postgame atmosphere, because that atmosphere drums up interest just as much as the game does itself. When we went, this is where the MVC doesn't have as many problems, because the MVC, we talk about how Wright State's problems aren't as pronounced as ours. The MVC is kind of the same way.
Yeah.
They're not as pronounced. Their problems are not as pronounced as ours are. Or even Wright State's are, because in Peoria and Cedar Falls and, pick and, even like, or Evansville, Indiana, or
Valparaiso.
Carbondale. Yeah, Valparaiso's even part of that. They don't have the competition.
No, they absolutely don't.
So the pressure to win is less important because they don't have another option. Murray State is Murray State because there ain't shit to do in Murray, Kentucky, except Murray State basketball.
Yes. Is it sad I did not know that there was in fact a Murray, Kentucky?
Well, that's the point. Is that
I didn't even know there was a Murray. I was like,
and it's okay.
Yeah, sorry, Murray State, I suck.
And it's okay. And program, big public schools can succeed.
Yeah.
Certainly San Diego State succeeded.
Yeah.
Certainly Virginia Commonwealth succeeded. Where those schools figured out what they're doing, they figured out what they were doing because they were able to win first and foremost. And they were able to create an experience that their students and their alumni wouldn't otherwise have. So you have a pretty major thing that you have to. It's part promotional, part winning.
Yeah,
winning is by far the most important thing.
Of course, but it's not enough.
As
we know, it's not enough. It can't be enough. There's got to be some additional buy-in beyond the walls of your athletic program. There's got to be.
Yeah. And
not just from the students. It has to be from your faculty. It has to be from your administration. I mean,
so Athlon Sports does their preseason their preseason magazine.
Yeah.
Athlon does one, Lindy's does one, Sporting News. Like, they all have different ones.
Sure do.
Athlon Sports had an interview with John Calipari when he was head coach at Memphis. And it was a bit of a lie, because we also know that, so what John Calipari said was it takes a village.
Yeah.
When you're a mid-major, it takes a village. Now, you and I both know that at Memphis it also took a bag of cash.
Oh, yes, that too.
And it took, let's falsify some stuff. But, like, the point still rings true. Like, you still need to have – you still need to be able you still need to be able to have everybody on board.
Exactly.
So – and everybody has their own things they care about. You want the faculty on board. Well, the faculty cares about their educational budgets.
Sure.
They care about their programs. They care about their research. They care about all these things. And one thing it's something that I really feel like they need to promote. Because, look, we're not. They need to be able to look to those people and say, "Hey, we want your help turning this program into a big deal, because if this program is a big deal, it also helps you.
Yep.
There aren't a lot of people that really look at that as a lot of schools don't recognize that.
No, you're correct, and
they don't. And the reason they don't recognize it is because everybody has their own problems.
Yeah, of course.
But you have to get people to buy into the goal.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I would like to point out for people is that if you really truly want them to care, you have to care about them.
Yeah.
So if I'm athletic director, and I will not bring up she who must not be named. If I'm athletic director of a university, I go to the dean of a school, and I say, and I'll start with Stan Stojkovic, who is the dean of the College of Health Sciences. He is he has courtside seats. Big fan of the program.
Sure.
If he says, I would go to him and I would say, look, how can I help you?
Yeah.
He might not know. Dean of a school might not know, but they need to understand that you're looking to help them. So, hey, how about this? How about you we need people to come to a game. To see how exciting and nice it is to go to these basketball games. You need to raise money for whatever project you're working for, whatever project your faculty's on.
Yeah.
Whatever, you maybe need to raise money for the endowment, maybe you need to raise money for scholarships. But you, dean of the college of whatever, need something to bring people together. So we're going to take the biggest game on our schedule that is during the season, that is during the semester, because you want to make sure students are there too.
Of course.
And you make a homecoming. You go to that dean and you say, look, you need to raise all this money, but you need to pull people together. Here you go. Here's a block of 100 tickets. You're all going to be sitting together. You're all going to be near the court. What we're going to do is we're going to give you these 100 tickets, and we're going to help you organize a pregame. So say it's a Saturday game at 1 p.m. You say, all right, we're going to put together a homecoming. This is the biggest game of our year. It's a Saturday. It's at 1 o'clock. Here's the idea. We'll help you put together an event that brings them in. So we've got the game. Maybe we'll have a relationship with a hotel nearby or something. We have a relationship with the Hyatt. Here, we'll put on an event here. You get your, you put on this. We'll put on the game. Put on a pregame event. You bring everybody in. You talk up the program. You talk not the basketball program, but your program.
Sure.
College or whatever. We're raising money for this. Blah 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 blah. People will come to it not just for the connection to their alma mater.
It's interesting you mentioned all of that because for whatever reason,
you got to remember that when you have a college of something and you're bringing alumni together, all those alumni are probably in the same field.
Yeah.
So you get people that are looking at it as a networking opportunity, not just an opportunity to go enjoy themselves.
Well, see that's kind of, and we'll kind of wrap it up here. But that's an interesting thing that Cleveland State is kind of circumvented because most of their in fact, all of their major donors, they're already hooked in with all of these schools, all the colleges now.
Well, here's the thing. This isn't about getting major donors. This is about getting small donors.
Yeah.
This is about getting the recent the College of Nursing has a recent nursing grad, and he or she is a fan, maybe a little bit of a fan of basketball, but they don't really like.
That approach is sure as hell beat getting calls every other month from some poor schmuck who's sitting in the call center right now trying to hit people up for donations, because I get that all the time. Sure would beat that, I think. But and perhaps maybe in the future and I think that would probably, and I think to your point, that's probably a better approach. And
I think people look at that as something to kind of. I think they look at it as something extra.
Yeah.
When I don't, I think that athletic departments should look at it as necessary.
Of course.
This is and not something that's necessary that we don't like doing, but something that's necessary because it's something that you need to do to build up the program.
Yeah.
You need people to care.
Absolutely.
You need people to care.
Sure.
And if you're not willing to help them, they're not going to be willing to help you.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You bring up that, oh, hey, by the way.
Yeah.
Remember when we gave you 100 tickets and we helped you put together this thing? Like, how about you help us try and get people together for this conference tournament that we're headed to?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So, all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. As always, you can get Horizon Zone Roundtable. All episodes are on sportshacks.com, HAX is Sports Hacks. And we're on basically everywhere that you can get any podcast app. I know I go through millions of them, but you know where they are by now. At least I hope so. So that's it, and we'll catch you next episode. And thanks for listening.
Thanks, everybody.